What is up, guys? DiplexHeated here again. Welcome back to Men of War Assault Squad 2 and Rob's Realism mod. I've been gone now for over 30 days, so 4 weeks without any DiplexHeated content or any Men of War battles or anything in general, really. Even 4 weeks without a single word from me. What happened? Well, I did update my community page here on the YouTube channel briefly many weeks ago, saying that I kind of bust my hand, and that is indeed correct. I haven't been able to use my left hand, so you can count out most gaming in general, and of course, scripting a Men of War battle would be near impossible. I have finally removed the cast only just last week, and I'm finally now starting to get, like, my movement back, and it's not hurting anymore, which is great, so I can script now and use my WASD for that kind of movement, which is very vital in a Men of War Assault Squad 2 battle, which is what we're going to enjoy today here for a little comeback. Now, before we get into today's battle, I wanted to say thanks for watching. Thank you for staying tuned. I know I should have updated you guys with a video, but I've been on painkillers and a lot of other things, which sounds weird, but mostly just painkillers and stuff, so I haven't really been feeling all too well. I haven't really been out of bed for most of November, which is a shame. But what happened, and I'm gonna say it briefly just to avoid any confusion or speculation. You guys like to get up to a lot of weird speculation and ideas, so I'm just gonna do it for you instead to rule out any weird ideas and thoughts. Basically, what happened was I was mad, it was late, and I punched an object of which material I was uncertain of, surely at the time. It turned out to be concrete, and I bust my hand, my left hand. The bone connected on the lowest, from the lowest knuckle to the end of the hand, or sort of the start of the hand by the wrist. It broke near the lower knuckle by the pinky finger, and that is also, or that very injury is also known as a boxer's fracture, because apparently MMA fighters and boxers of all kinds that use their hands usually break that bone when fighting. I don't think they break it hitting concrete pillars. So hit a desk, hit your the wall, but don't hit a concrete pillar. I was about to make a joke there, and then I realized that I could probably be sued for encouraging people to abuse their family members, but it was just meant to be a joke, and then I realized it's not funny at all. But yes, let's stay on a more positive vibe here. We're in Stalingrad. I realized we've never really done a beach landing. This isn't much of a beach or what you're used to, but it's definitely going to be sort of a landing. The United States of America have lend-leased the Russians some Higgins boats. So the Russians, or Soviets as they're more properly known as at this time, will be assaulting across the Volga River during the Battle of Stalingrad. And I think we're going to have a really cool battle. The Germans are fortified all over the place behind sandbags and ruins. It's just going to be one of those insane battles. Over 600 men will be landing today, so it's like a mixed force of Russian or Soviet Marines and Soviet infantry, just from a regular rifle brigade or something. So it's going to be just a brutal battle with lots of explosions and casualties. And it's just something we've never done before. We've done plenty of Japanese and American beach assaults. We've done a few British and German ones, but we've never really done one with Soviet soldiers. So I am back in action. It is December. My Christmas gift to you this month will be plenty of content. Don't worry, we're gonna finish the Battle of Natuna. I have a great finale for that series, and then we're gonna get on to greater and better things, and as well as some War of Rights content, more squad, and I do have a few more Men of War battles already in the making that I haven't been able to finish due to my hand, but it's good to be back. Thank you for sticking through with me, and let's get the battle started. Yes, I am so excited. It's gonna be a brutal fight for sure. I mean, it's a big battlefield. The Soviets need to obviously secure the beachhead, but they also need to make it up to the height here behind in order to battle the German artillery and infantry securing the high ground further back. So it's going to be a very brutal battle for sure. And here come the Soviet infantry. Over 600 men will be landed here today, so it's just going to be an all-out insane experience. Oh, a few of the 30 caliber machine gunners were killed in one of the landing crafts here in the center, and the infantry will now be rushing out without little cover. Oh, the boat on the far right was probably hit by a mortar round or a Flak 88 shell. Either two seem to have done the job there, and that boat is going to float no more. The one on the far left here is doing fairly well so far. It has lost its driver and a few of the crewmen, but the infantry is doing pretty well, rushing up on the left side. Here we have a officer, a platoon officer, as you can see here, with a PPSH 43 and his officer's uniform and a marine officer's cap, which I think is really awesome looking. We'll see how long he can last. Hoorah! Still alive, miraculously, despite being the most forefront Soviet soldier. 2 hand grenades were thrown. He's going to survive both and then head back into cover as he's shot in his back. And that is going to end his chapter here during this battle. We will find plenty more soldiers to follow. The second wave is on its way now. So there's about 120 soldiers per wave, which is a lot. So we're deploying a whole battalion's worth using 5 waves of infantry being landed here. Okay, let's have a look here further to the right, where we lost one of the boats during the first wave. And this is certainly the worst place to be. There's a German Flak 88 back there, and these boats are just gonna get out as soon as possible. Once the infantry is out, they are returning back across the river. Oh, man. Beautiful view there of the soldiers rushing up on the left side. They are certainly more fortunate than the soldiers here on the right side. Many who are just being shot dead in the water, and some are just still hiding in the boat that carried them here. I see little choice. We have an officer there as well, who's hiding with just a handful of men, and I can't see them moving out anytime soon, and I kind of feel for them. That Flak 88 there is just opening up on Soviet infantry here on the left side, and we are going to head back here and see how they progress now. They are definitely you know, committing to some serious moves here on the German positions. They are not only winning ground, but they are doing so quickly. Like, we're only on the second wave, and the third is just about to arrive, but these men here have already knocked out the entire left side of the German defense here by the beach. So this is looking great for the Soviets so far, at least here on the left side. More boats are coming in, and more boats are leaving the beach. Oh no! I think that was one out of the 4 landing crafts arriving to the beach, and it was hit direct by, I think, a Flak 88 there. So 2 boats down here in a close proximity. This is definitely the most dangerous place on this battlefield right now. Likelihood of surviving the landing itself is close to absolutely 0. You've just drawn the short stick if you're one of the Soviet soldiers attacking this side right now. But it does get better by the minute, so some soldiers are actually starting to get a foothold here. But we've already lost over 50 men just by, I don't know, arriving to the beach, being hit by an 88mm flak shell. So that is just gruesome. Gruesome indeed. There's a lot of Soviet infantry on the left flank right now moving up. They are starting to secure the stairs, but there's a lot of German infantry behind it, so I don't think we're going to see any Soviets secure a foothold up here anytime soon. A few submachine gunners were shot dead as soon as they approached it. But we do have a lot of infantry down here. The next wave is on its way, another 4 boats. And this one seems to focus quite heavily on the right flank. Now is probably the time to strike. They're going to try and hit it with a lot of infantry at once. That Flak 88 is starting to zero in at some target. I'm wondering if it's going to try and hit one of the landing crafts or if it's going to aim at the infantry. 30 caliber machine guns mounted on these American-produced Higgins boats are doing what they can to bring down as much of the German infantry as possible. And then it's time to get out before that 88 zeroes in. It looks like one of the soldiers manning the 88 has been killed, but there's one brave German soldier still crewing it despite being out of cover. He just lost some of his close protection, but he is aiming in at that Higgins boat. Oh, and he's gonna fire away, but he's going to miss. He's probably, I mean, obviously, being down to only one soldier crewing that gun is going to make things quite a lot harder. So I do understand him, or why he missed. That 88 is still alive and active, though. I wonder for how long. Some infantry has gotten really close. There we go. That 88 is finally neutralized. Now, there are Germans up here by the factory, and they're still defending it, but they're going to be taking a lot of focused fire from the infantry moving up down below. 2 more Higgins boats arrived here on the right side, and they're going to unload a lot of infantrymen. There we go. That is a lot of infantry being added to the battlefield here. We have more troops coming down the center. There are a few Germans alive, mainly a mortar crew in one of the pits here. And I think they will be a target priority for the Soviet soldiers moving up, but they can't quite spot them yet. I wonder if they've run out of ammunition, because right now they're not firing. But I think it's only a matter of time until they're shot dead. Okay, we have a lot of infantry up here right now by the stairs. Some are trying to push up ahead, and it seems to work. Now they're really storming in force right now. But do they have enough infantry? Do they have enough cover? Like, we saw a good dozen men run up the stairs now on either side. And I think it's working out to some extent, but the Germans are just in far superior cover back here. Covering the main street running down behind the beach here. Or up on the high ground, rather. Does look like the Soviets have received mortar support with the last wave of infantry. So that is going to add nicely to the Soviet attack. They did secure the stairs. So a huge number of Soviet soldiers will now be rushing the left flank. How are we doing on the right here by the factory? Not as well. German soldiers are still holding the factory. They're being forced back. We have men up here on the high ground, machine guns and spotters. And MG34 is doing what it can to hold back the... Look at that little what do you call that? Not a telegraph, a... why can't I will just call it a disc player. I just can't believe I can't remember what it's called right now. But it does play a disc, essentially. It's a... Yeah. But yeah. Anyway. Spotter down. MG34 still up and shooting, though. And those German mortars are putting a lot of fire. I think it's actually a mix of Soviet and German mortars. One, either of the two landing a little bit closer to its opponent. There we go. This is just a kill zone. Down the center now, there seems to be a big push of Soviet infantry moving into the ruins now. This is going to include some pretty brutal close quarter fighting with German infantry. This is just nasty, to say the least. Nowhere where you'd want to be. I think this is probably the absolute last and lowest choice of my area and battle to be if I had to choose one during World War II. I think I would much rather take anything in Western Europe and Northern Africa above this. But I wouldn't go as far as saying anywhere in the Pacific, but at least it'd be warm. At least it would be warm. I hate the cold, yet I live in a very cold place. And the one place I chose to do my basic training in for a set period many years ago was actually in the most cold area in Sweden. So that was just a rather dumb choice. But the cold didn't break me. My knee did. But that's a story for a different day. Oh, jeez. Okay, we have a few brave submachine gunners getting quite close now to the German positions. Their final line of defense is back on the other side of this street. They have a few more mortar pieces. There is actually a flak 88 active here by the intersection. And it's going to be firing at the infantry. Trench back here and a church, which I think is acting as some sort of a headquarters. But let's focus on the action at hand, not the rear positions. I'm sure we will get to them before long. That is if the Soviet infantry can push up and do significant damage. We have some infantry that is sort of getting closer and closer, but the factory is still being held here by the Germans. And there's just a few infantrymen here that are just seemingly very hard to eliminate. Sandbags being shot down. There we go. I think if you just put enough high caliber weapons on them, like or not high caliber, but you know, enough SVT-40 and DP-20, 27 or 28 rounds on it, it's going to go down. They have a few machine gunners and riflemen up here. Look at that Marine with an SVT-40. He's going to be shot dead as he's firing and approaching the enemy. So still the factory's holding, and I think the Soviets are going to be unable to really break it. The center is contested right now. So is the left. Soviets are getting closer and closer to the street. But I see no real conclusive result as of now. It doesn't really seem like they're breaking through quite properly. We have a few men here in the center. Some barbed wire is definitely slowing down their approach and advance. That shrapnel is going to kill a few Soviet soldiers down below, but in general I think we see a pretty steady advance here. Soviet mortars shaking up the German positions back here by the road now, and the Germans are returning the mortar fire with their own mortars in a very rapid succession. Look at that, these guys are just like, they are just hailing rounds now over the Soviets attacking. I did see a slightly faster rate of fire just prior to this. I think they might be reacquiring targets now, but it seemed like they were firing around every 2 or 3 seconds back there, so that was pretty quick. You hear that? It's silent for just a few seconds. Mortars are mainly doing the talking right now, but I think the Soviets should have enough manpower around to really make a push here on the left side. The German defenses they're not that strong, but they might just be strong enough to hold the Soviets back on this side. Because they've lost a lot of manpower now. They're still pushing down the center. Perhaps if they attacked right, they could break the factory, where Soviets are still trying to push up. But German mortars are holding them back. So the Soviets have taken the high ground up by the beachhead here. They've knocked out all the German positions. They've lost a load of Soviet soldiers just really trying to set foot on dry land. But I think we're gonna have to call this one an inconclusive draw of some sorts. Mortars are going to do, as I said, most of this sort of post-battle talking. Mainly to each other, mortar to mortar, but some of the infantry is still gonna let off a few bursts and shots here and there, because there's definitely still action going down the center, but the left side has slowed down a lot, and so has the right side. The Germans will not attempt any sort of counterattack for sure, and I don't think the Soviets have enough manpower now to push through. So this little Soviet Stalingrad beach landing, I think is going to draw to a close here. The Germans are still holding the factory, but the Soviets have secured the beach. Let's follow this guy for a minute. A squad leader with a PPSH-43 has barely dodged 2 mortar rounds. That make that 3, and he's still taking a few shots. You can see the muzzle flashes here and there. He's brave, though, for sure. I wonder if he's got any backup near him, and that is going to be the 4th or 5th mortar round, which is just going to hit him point blank. And on that note, my friends, that's been it for today. Let's go ahead and take a look at casualties. We will mark German casualties in yellow, As a matter of fact, we will mark German Why is that not working? There we go. We will mark German casualties in yellow and Soviet casualties in red. And you can tell that hundreds and hundreds of Soviet soldiers have fallen just in the water. It seems like a good 200, maybe 150, 200 have died here right on the beach or right by the water, whereas the remaining, I don't know, 400 to 450 men have died up here fighting the Germans toe-to-toe, head-to-head. But what a disastrous battle, just in under a few minutes, to have cost so many lives, close to 1,000 for sure. What an absolute slaughter. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in another video coming up soon. It's good to be back. Have a good Christmas or holiday, and I'll see you throughout the rest of the month. Ciao.